stands out about South Carolina when you go back and watch the film from that first matchup?
Well, one, how well they're coached. A team that doesn't commit a lot of mistakes, a team that knows exactly what they're looking for, a team that can very quickly exploit the matchups that they want to get if you do a lot of switching and they get you in a position where they can get the switch they want. They took great advantage of it here in a lot of different ways, and but just extremely fundamental. Plays the pace that they want to play with, and Lamont has done just an incredible job, one of the great jobs, coaching jobs, not just this year, but as long as I've been in basketball, watching what he's done and the way he's turned it around and where they are today. But they're just, and they got good players. Don't make no bones about it. They've got good players. You wouldn't be able to be where they are today in this league because it's, again, we've talked about how competitive it is in this league, and maybe the most competitive ever. For them to be playing for a championship speaks volumes not only about the players but also the coaching staff.
Coach, I don't know, you may not see this, but from the outside looking in, they look a lot like your teams did your second or third year here, where they're just starting to believe in what they're doing and starting to get some confidence. Do you see that?
Yeah, I do, and you know, and they understand each other's roles is what I think is what's really impressive about them. They understand each other's ability and what they need to do and where they need to get. And some older guys have been around, but again, they've done just a great job of doing that, believing in the system for one, and then believing in themselves. And now they've got a lot of belief because of, again, having just an incredible year and a great year, and it's impressive with where they were picked and where they finish up. It just shows you that they didn't buy into any of that. It was all about them and what they were trying to get done. And again, they're in the last week of the regular season fighting for a championship.
Do you think it's beneficial for your team to have this challenging of a stretch going right into the postseason?
I do. I think this time of year, it's all about trying to build momentum. And I said all along, you're going to learn from every game something. You hope to win games and learn that way. But with the regular season and the conference tournament ahead, there's a lot that can still be learned, or we all need to continue to get better. But yeah, I think great competition always helps you late in the year.
I think your guys have been different since that South Carolina game.
I don't know. We've been in a lot of hard-fought basketball games, and our league is, again, I know everyone talks about how good their leagues are, and it's true. I mean, conference play is tough in any league. I don't care what numbers and all this say. I mean, you go on the road or you play at home. In every league, it's tough and demanding. But our team is, I think we've tried to get better. As you guys have been with us from the beginning, and we've talked about consistency, we've talked about rebounding, ball screen, a lot of different things, and the kids that I think that we've still tried to improve as the season goes on. And I would tell you, we're going to court today with that in mind, knowing that we've got to be a mindset that we can really try to get our game plan in, and know we're going to have to execute it, but also the things that we know we've got to get better with, we've got to try to get better.
What are the intangible things that guys like Santi and Joe brought to the game the other day at Alabama?
Well, they know our system so well, and to be quite frank, they know me better than anybody. I mean, we've been together a lot, and I'm going to miss so much of those guys. I mean, I think they know what I'm thinking probably sometimes more than I do, and like we'll between the three of us, we can bring back things that we did 5 years ago, and they'll say this, that, or whatever. And, but they're just, honestly, they're both like coaches on the floor, and they just understand, again, how we're trying to play. And we talk about them being able to fix this or fix that. I mean, you can do a lot with them just communicating in the flow of the game, just saying this or saying that. And they see it, they get it, and they've helped all of our guys this year with that. They have the last couple of years, and that's something that's going to really be hard to replace when they leave.
Have you ever had a player take a whiteboard from you in a huddle before and draw something up on it?
Yes, and I love it. You know, and again, what I love about that, you know, Santi, you know, I looked at him and said, "What are you thinking?" And he played it. We ended up going. He wanted to make sure that Tobey knew exactly where he had to be, because I could. When we called the play, we looked at Tobey and we could tell he was like not quite as sure as we wanted to be, and Santi just took it and said, "You've got to do this right here," which I think it's great when players do that. And I've always said when you got a team that's led by players, that's when you've got a chance to be good.
Did the play work?
It did. Well, we ran it. We didn't score out of it, but first look that we were trying to get, we didn't get it, and because they defended well. But we got to the second option and got a great look at it and make the shot, but we executed it.
Coach, did you pay attention at all to this talk about whether you're number 1 or number 2 seed? Did you have a preference?
I don't, because we can talk about it all we want to talk about it. The bottom line is going to get down based on what you do. I mean, I think this week's a big week for a lot of teams that are fighting for whether an NCAA bid or whatever the committee's looking at. From past experience, I don't know what the SEC tournament or any postseason tournament plays into it in some ways other than teams can get a bid out of it. But I don't talk about things that, or think about things that we have no control over other than what we do on the court. And I'm sure there's always going to be debates about this, that, or whatever, but all I can say is that when we're done with the regular season, I can't imagine anyone's played a more difficult schedule than we have all year out. And I don't know how that weighs into what they're looking at, but you know, you win games, and hopefully that takes care of everything.
What do you feel like you have to do differently against South Carolina when Miles Stewart and Talon Cooper went 7 for 8 from 3, many of them in the corner as well? What do you think you have to do differently?
We've got to play better, obviously, in a lot of different areas, but their execution was good, and we've got to do a better job with everything we talk about every game, whether it's transition defense, executing our half-court defense, offensively, you know, doing what we need to do there. You go back, I mean, it's another game. They're better than they were here. We're better than when we were here too, but it's going to be a great atmosphere, great crowd, and it should be. They deserve it. They've earned it. But there's not one part of it. We're going to have to do everything, and again, it's going to be another 40 minutes, and we're going to have to be better, obviously.
What have you seen differently from Jemai in that last South Carolina game? Obviously, you played a really good game against Maryland.
Well, again, the last couple games, you know, I thought his defense has gotten back to an elite level, and I think his focus has been the biggest thing. I don't think there's any question. It's his mindset, knowing, again, what he's great at, trying to play to that, and I think he's really relaxed on offense and not thinking, I got to do this, I got to do that. He's let it come to him, but he's made some great decisions in the last couple games, and we just hope that he can keep building on it. And because when he's locked in like that, it just gives us really a great weapon to have.
Coach, how much growth is there? I mean, I guess how, you know, Jonas sat for 15 minutes the other night and he came in the second half, played almost all of it, I think 18, and had 10 points and 7 rebounds. Just how much, can you come close to that 6 months ago, a year ago?
I don't know, you know, Jonas has grown in a lot of ways, and again, his cardio and his physicality's gotten so much better. And again, here's a guy that, I mean, people physically go after him every game. I mean, there's not a game that we've played this year where people aren't trying to bounce him around, and so he's learned how to deal with that. He's continuing to learn how to make it work to his advantage. But he's grown so much from the time when he first got here, and again, I've said it many times. He's really just getting started and the kind of player he can be, but it's about him and his mindset, his attitude on embracing the physicality that's coming his way and doing the things that he's capable. His length at the rim defensively is a factor. And I've said many times he needs to make that a factor on the offensive end as well.
You talk about the tough battles you guys have faced so far this season. How has this team been able to come from behind in certain games like Alabama, Missouri, Georgia earlier in the season as well?
You know, I don't know if it's anything other than the fact it's a 40-minute game, and basketball is a game of runs. Whether you lead from start to finish, which doesn't happen very much, or we've had leads that we've lost, other teams fall back, and you've got to play for 40 minutes. I mean, you have to, and you hope that you can, in the end, prevail. You ask me why have we done it, I question me, why do we get behind? Because I don't want to fall back when we do it, but when we do fall behind, it's pretty simple. It ends up being bad shots and turnovers, and which leads to easy baskets for the other team, and you let down just a little bit on the offensive end and allow guys to get spotted up and hit the threes they get. But one thing I admire about our players is the fact that, again, I go back to the schedule. We've been in so many games that have been possession games, and I do think they understand, again, it is a game to run. The other team's good. They're going to make their pushes, and in the end, over 40 minutes, we hope we can come out on top.
How comforting is it that you have a glass watch Josiah who is willing to slide into that 5 spot when the other 2 bigs are in foul trouble?
Well, he can do it, and obviously the same thing with Jemiah, sliding to the 4 if that needs be. Again, Joe's been around. He pays attention to the scout report, and he and Jemiah probably have as much to do with knowing that it could be anywhere on the court at any 5 spots going into a game, and so they're locked in that way. But it allows us to play a lot of different ways. We've had a lot of different lineups out there, and we've had that lineup was small. We can get big somewhere in between, and so the versatility on the team is really a compliment to our players that they want to know, because it's not like we're changing. We've got 15 different systems that we're running. You know, within that system that we run, there obviously are tweaks and adjustments you make, but they understand the scheme of it and what we need to do, and so it's really a compliment to them that they can play multiple positions.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.